Yeah, but is he a judge? All rise.
I do like this one time, so I'm going to suggest that for the year. One time a year. And you're leaving, so I might answer one of your freaking questions. I already told Trustman that you're all about you. I gave him the heads up. No, I didn't. All right.
Well, at minicamp, you had said you knew that you thought the rookies would play a lot, but you know how much you could rely on them. What have you seen out of the rookies that you like, and what kind of potential do you see, especially like Rambo and Emerson?
Well, I liked them all. I thought they progressed and did a good job in training camp. Bakari's getting better every day. I know you guys are killing him on the one play, but it's hard to tackle that guy in the open space. But I think Bakari's doing a great job. He's getting better every day. Brandon Jenkins is helping us on third down. We got a package for him so we can use him on third down. Obviously Phillip being hurt, that's a setback. But I think in the long run he's going to be a really good football player. And David has really done a nice job in all areas, coverage, the run game. And I think the kid, with his length and speed and everything, he could be something special.
Have they progressed faster than you thought, or about where they thought, or how did you gauge that?
They're all smart. I think they're kind of right on course, and we'll see how they go the next couple weeks, and then we'll decide how we're going to play them for the opener.
Jim, what's the plan B if Brandon Merriweather isn't ready week 1?
We always got Reed. He's always plan B, C, and we got some options. Guys played last year. We had Reed started in this league a long time. Bakari has an opportunity to start. DJ Gomes has started, and Jordan Pugh's played for. So we've got enough guys with experience, and we feel good about them. Feel good about all of them, and they're all getting playing time, and we're trying to get them ready to see who emerges as the two players, the starters in the open. Now, last year, you remember the last 7 games, we alternated them by package and put guys in. So there's an opportunity for all these guys to help this football team.
Jim, we've heard so much about the other side for a variety of reasons. Where does your unit stand at this stage of preseason? Where it needs to be, what needs work, et cetera?
Well, we didn't do a good enough job in the run last week. Disappointed in that area because that's one of the areas I thought that's our strength, and we'll clean that up. Because we're going to be good in the run again. I thought the guys did a nice job pass rushing last week. The first play they threw the ball, we got a sack. So I'm encouraged by that. Rack being back obviously is a big plus for us. And, I think we can stay healthy and do the things we're doing. We'll be all right.
We saw in the preseason game where Kerrigan was a down lineman. What's the thinking behind going to that look?
Well, Kerrigan moved inside, you mean? Because he's always a down lineman on third down. But he actually moved in to play defensive tackle. That's when Brandon Jenkins came in. Brandon would play the left end. Ryan will slide inside to one of the 2 tackle spots, and then we'll have one big tackle, whoever that is, Bowen, Steven, Jarvis, whoever, and then Rack will play the other side. But just trying to get our best pass rushers on the field.
One of the things they talked about David last year having problems with at NC State was, discipline with his eyes and all that. What have you seen from him here, and how much has he worked on that aspect of his game?
No, run that by me again.
In college, he's talked about him getting in trouble with this, being disciplined in coverage and all that. And I'm just curious what you've seen out of him here in that regard.
I think he's done a good job up to this point. He's all our guys are into it. They're working hard, and I like what we're doing in the back end, and I think it'll help. And I think he's done a good job in that area.
Of the defensive players, maybe an unknown, maybe one of the undrafted players stood out to you?
I'm not sure if anybody's really surprised me. There's guys that I feel good about. Like I thought Chase Minnifield really has come on. He's played well. I feel good about Chase. Obviously for missing 2 years of football with 2 ACLs and just the way he's out there, he uses his game. You can tell his dad played football, and he's been around his whole life. He's just kind of a natural football player. So I think all those things that I kind of like it because the guy missed 2 years and come back, and he's going to get better and better every day.
Jim, what are your feelings about the overall depth right now, especially in those first 4 games where you have to withstand those 2 suspensions?
It's hard.
What are your feelings about the overall depth right now, especially in the first 4 games of the season when you have to absorb those suspensions?
Well, like I said, we feel good about the safety spot because we got a lot of guys that have played. I think Darryl Tapp coming in, playing outside linebacker, I think he's done a good job for us. Obviously not having Jarvis for the opener and Jackson, for the opener. Obviously, that's setbacks. That's kind of guys getting hurt and missing 4 games. So we adjust. We went through it last year. But, I feel good about Kedrick playing. Chris Baker's moved to end, played a lot of end. He played nose for us last year. He's done a nice job. He's athletic. Philip Merling's done a nice job for us. So we feel that we got enough depth. If something happens, we'll be in good shape.
Jim, if Merriweather is fully healthy, what kind of player can he be?
Well, if you base it off the 45 snaps he played last year, it's pretty.
Maybe the 2010 season.
Well, he's another guy that's missed a lot of time. He didn't play a lot the year before, and he only played 45 snaps last year. It was 45 snaps. He had 8 tackles, interception. He's done pretty good. So he's one of the key guys. We got to get healthy, and we'd like to have him out there.
Jim, what was the excitement level in getting Brandon Jenkins, especially where you got him in the draft, and how dynamic a player can he be for this defense?
Well, we liked him. The defensive staff really liked him. We brought him in for a visit, and guy had a lot of sacks as a sophomore. I think he had 14 and a half and 10 and a half as a junior. And then he got hurt, missed his senior year, and we're kind of going over what we saw, back in his young days. So I think the guy's a natural pass rusher, has a lot of moves, a lot of skills from that area. He's in the learning program to play outside linebacker. We're not going to ask him. That won't be an emphasis this year with Darryl and Rob Jackson and everybody, but it'd be more of a we're going to use him in nickel and sub situations, and if we can help with some Anoki, we'll get him ready for that, but more in the sub stuff.
What is your level of concern with or the depth at inside linebacker behind there with all the injuries you kind of had behind Fletcher and
that's kind of I'm a Brian Keel fan. That's why we picked up Ryan. We didn't want to let him go last year, but the numbers we couldn't keep everybody. I think Brian's done a nice job. He's played both Mike and Jack for us. He can handle both situations. He's smart. He's really athletic, can run. So we feel good about that. There's a couple young guys out there that have really stepped up and done a nice job. And then the other reason that we brought Nick Barnett in also is that he's played in the system, played in Green Bay in the same system, understands it. We just got to get him healthy and get him on the field and get some playing time.
I know he hasn't been on the field much, but recognition-wise, is he right up to speed?
Yeah, he's pretty sharp. He's a sharp kid who works hard. He's intense. You like what you see him. You can see why he's a first-round draft pick and played a lot of time.
Hey, Jim, when you consider your playing career, where you played, and then Pittsburgh, New Orleans, St. Louis, what are the keys to establishing a team in the elite echelon, but staying there? Like this team, you win 10 games in the division, but what's the key to staying at the top now? Well,
number one, you got to stay healthy, and number two, you got to have some luck on your side because that plays in. But I think the big thing, we're doing the right things as a football team. We work hard. Our guys practice hard. They study hard. They do everything, and it comes from Coach Shanahan, obviously, but they do everything they're asked to do, and they do it right. I mean, first of all, it's a good group of guys. There's the guys you can rely on, their reliability, they're accountable, and that's the kind of guys you like to surround yourself with.
Is it not like that everywhere then?
I don't think the whole league's like that, obviously. You got to draft the right guys. You got to sign the right guys. Free agents, you got to get the kind of guys that you're looking for. And I think that's one thing we've done over the 3 years. We've kind of pieced together the guys that fit that mode.
Yeah, it's not for a few weeks, but we're not going to talk to you before then. You opened with the Eagles, and you really have, with Chip Kelly coming in, you really have no idea what their offense is really going to look like. How do you go about preparing a game plan in such a situation?
Well, we've looked at endless film on Oregon. A little bit different because they do some things in college they can't do up here. But it's basically the same, what we saw in film last week. I think Chip will do a great job there because they got great skill players on offense. So they got good quarterbacks. The running backs extremely scary. The wide receivers are good football players, and they got a heck of a line. So I think they'll be successful in what they do and how they do it. But hopefully we'll play well in that first game.
Do you worry about the pace? You know, they're going to try to run 80 snaps in a half. Do you worry about having to keep your guys out onto the field and not being able to run new guys in?
Well, the best thing to do is get 3 and out. You don't have to worry about those type of things. So, no, you will have a plan for all that. I think a lot of teams are going to that. We'll get a look at that next week when we play Buffalo because they do it, and they're trying to rattle off 100 plays. I don't know if you can get 100 plays in this league, but they got 91 off against New England and did a good job. They had a couple drives last week of 16, 14 plays, and we just got to be ready. The best thing to do is do a good job on first down, get them in situations we can get off the field.
Jim, every coach has his own style. I was wondering if you could discuss the dynamics of working with Raheem. He's so fiery, and is that type of personality it seems like it would suit well for the position he coaches? He's a rah-rah yelled guy, and the players like that, and everybody's different. Guys. But I like Raheem's style. I think he's into it. He likes the players. He works hard. He understands the scheme, and he gets the most out of those guys. And they work hard for him.
With Barnett, or the guy you brought in today, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. What do you do when you bring a guy into a scheme like yours midway through training camp? How do you bring him up to speed? What are you looking for out of him?
Well, obviously it's not the easiest scheme because you got 2 different linebackers. You got a weak and a strong inside linebackers, and then a 4-3. You got one, inside. So it takes a little bit while, but I'll say Nick played in the system in Green Bay. Same terminology, basically the same terminology. Don Capers coached in Pittsburgh. I coach in Pittsburgh, so it's kind of the same stuff. And then the guy we just brought in played in Arizona. It's basically the same system. So it'll help those guys when they get out there. There'll be a lot of carryover. Not exactly the same, some different things, but it'll be a lot of carryover. I've seen enough from Nick. I saw him on tape. I watched him in practice. I mean, he's got great quickness, intensity, understands the game. He's got a great nose for the ball, And so we're gonna see Quan. We'll watch him in the next week and see how he's got.
A couple quick thoughts, please, on 2 of your players, Kerrigan and Tapp. What do they bring to the table? What are you looking for out of them?
Who's that?
Kerrigan and Tapp.
Well, first of all, when you look at the outside rushers, our guys, they got to be pass rushers, number one, and then they got to be physical in the run. I think both of them are excellent and do a great job of that. Daryl getting better every day for a guy that's played, I don't know how many years it is now, 10, played in college, his hand down in the dirt his whole life. All of a sudden he's standing up now, he's dropping, he's covering, he's rushing, he's doing a number of different things. It's kind of amazing that he can pick things up this fast. He's a force in the run game. He's tight ends. I feel sorry for tight ends when they practice against him because he just beats the heck out of tight ends. He's awesome that way, and he's getting better in coverage. Loves the game, studies, doesn't make mistakes. Great to be around. I mean, I love a guy. If he makes a mistake, he gives you that look like he's going to kill you. I love being around a guy. I think the guy's going to be a heck of a player. Has been, but I think he'll be in this system.
Jim, are there any questions you had going into camp that you feel you have answered now?
Well, I mean, I feel good about what we're doing. I feel good about the rookies. You're trying to wonder, how fast they can come along. And a couple of the guys we picked up, I'm happy with guys like Biggers. I think EJ's done a great job for us. I think Croft's got better. All the young guys that we've drafted over the last couple of years, you can see them. Perry to me has a chance to be, a Pro Bowler. So him between, Perry and having Rack back. Obviously, Rack was a little rusty, not his rush game, some of the stuff, but you can see he's knocking that off every day. He's getting better and better, and looks like his old self to me. And I just think that all those guys are doing a heck of a job.
Specifically over here about sorry, It's about David Amerson and his length. What does his length provide you that maybe a guy like Cedric Griffin was able to provide in some different ways last year? And then also about Richard Crawford specifically, what's been the biggest area of improvement that you've been able to identify?
Well, I like David because he's a 6'2" corner. You don't find those guys that long. He's got good skills. He's tough. He can press. He's got long arms. He's the kind of corner that can do a number there. He can play off, which he did a lot in college. He can press. He's a lot more physical than I remember him watching on tape in college, and I think he's going to be a heck of a player if he keeps working at it. Richard just improved. He's just got better and better. For a young guy to come in off the streets and then we threw him in there, play some nickel and all that. That's hard to do. And you can see at the end of the year he improved. He had a nice interception against Dallas and did some things like that, and he's kind of picked up from there.
Back here, you've only had like 3.5 weeks of camp and one preseason game, but can you tell this is going to be a better defense than last year, and if so, how?
Well, number one, I think we were 5th in the league in rushing, and we had 3rd in turnovers. We got to keep those. We got to keep those numbers up. We obviously want to create turnovers. We got to do a better job in the pass game than we did last year. We didn't do big job. We gave up too many big plays. Didn't do as good as well as we were liked. I think that area will improve on and be much better, and then we'll have a better pass rush also.
Jim, London. London Fletcher's coming off-season surgery for the first time in his long career. How has he looked to you?
I think he's amazing to me. He's just I tell him all the time. I've never been around a guy that he's like having a coach on the field. I love being around the guy. The guy hasn't missed a beat. He looks the same to me as he's always has. I don't see any difference. I don't see any difference in his speed, his quickness, strength, intelligence. This 3rd or 4th year, I don't see any drop off. I don't see it. He's amazing. He's truly amazing. We give him the leeway. We go. We do some no huddle against our offense. We do some different things against our offense. And the other day, I just gave him leeway. He called the defenses. I called the first down. He called the rest of them. And he's like, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's awesome.
Going back to Brian Arakpo, can you talk about the impact he has on others with the pass rush? How much you missed that last year, and what are some of the subtle ways, I guess, that he has an impact on others? I mean, sometimes it's obvious double teams here or there, but what are some of the subtle ways he has an impact just with his presence?
Obviously, offenses have to account for him, number one. And the more pass rushes you have, that frees other guys up with Kerrigan, Jenkins, and Bowen and Barry. That he's got to know he's going to get to double teams. It also gives you the ability, you can move him around a little bit more. You can move him around. Ryan did a little bit last year. Brandon can do a little bit of it. So you can try to free him up or take him away from the chips, the double teams. So I do think it's having him back will help those other guys.
You mentioned Cofield maybe going to the Pro Bowl. When you brought him in, everybody said he wasn't big enough to play the position. But since then, a lot of nose tackles are trending more towards his size. Is he like an ideal nose tackle in a passing league?
I think he's ideal, whether it's a running league, passing league. I think he's a great nose from that standpoint. People said he never played that position, We talked to his position coach that he left, said he'd be a perfect player for your scheme, and he was right. He really is. He's athletic. He can run. He's got power, and he fits the scheme. I do think that he's probably one of the better ones, and if not the best in the league at that position.
Jim, with regard to Brandon Jenkins, you take a lot of those 4-3 college ends and you make them these outside linebackers. How long should it take him to feel comfortable in coverage?
Well, it takes a while. I was around guys in Pittsburgh when we did it with guys. It takes 2 or 3 years. It took Joey Porter 3 years. It takes guys Timmons 3 years. It takes 2 or 3 years to learn to be exactly what you're looking for. But in the meantime, you get them ready to play. That position. He can help you in other areas. But it takes a little bit of time.
We've seen a couple guys play slot corner for you. What are you specifically looking for out of that position, and is there anybody that you feel like is going to, out of those 3, that are going to step up and grab that job?
There's 4 guys that I think Josh Wilson's played in there. We've played D'Angelo in there. Biggers has done it the whole offseason, and Minnifield, Crawford's done it. So we really got 5 guys working in there. What are you looking for? Well, number one thing, you got to protect the middle of the field. Depending on the coverage you have, you got to have quickness because you got to handle the receiver. Most of the time, runs all the choice routes. You got to be able to blitz. You got to be tough because you're going to have to tackle. Unlike the outside corners in nickel situation, they don't get those. They don't get crack replaces, and they have to fit in the run as much. So you got to do a little of everything in there. You got to be a good football player to play nickel. Yeah, I actually like all 5 of them. I think they've done all 5 of them have done a good job. Feel good. Biggs did a great job last week. Josh obviously has played in there. Crawford, Minnifield played the second half late. I thought he was excellent last week.
Jim, the big question league-wide in the offseason for defenses has been how to adjust to the evolving zone read that a lot of teams are running.
Yeah.
As the defensive coordinator and the team that runs it, does Shanahan pick your brain? Do you go back and forth and say, okay, here's how I think teams are going to defend you, that sort of thing, and here's maybe...
Yeah, it's more the other way. We pick their brain about things, how they block things, why they see it this way, why they do it that way. So it's good that our offense runs it, and so when we play these teams that are going to run it, we'll have an idea how to stop it.
But at the same time, they're going to have to adjust to what defenses are doing to them. Is there sort of a back and forth there?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of works 2 ways, but I think from a defensive standpoint, it's nice that your offense runs some. So when you play somebody like that,